Is there any sight more beautiful than the sun hanging low in the sky, casting its warm, glowing, warming glow over the horizon and landscape? Yeah, this map, and you all know it. Welcome back to map making with Sparks. I feel I need to talk softly now that the sun is setting. Today we are going to be working on dynamic lighting. This is an idea I had quite a while ago for this map when I was first drafting this idea up, because we've got this map focuses on the balance and the changing levels between the light and dark in the arena, and I decided it'd be quite cool to have the sky affect that as well. So the more nodes the light team captures, the higher the sun rises, and the more the dark team captures, the higher the moon rises. Now if you are down at void level, you can see they're both level, which is what I wanted, for them to both be peeking over, but unfortunately it seems the higher you are, the more you lose that effect. But I digress. Today we're going to be working on my dynamic daylight system. I just want to make a note. I did a live stream the other day, first live stream ever, and I worked on the equipment system. On the right here, this dark side, this is the new node, and that one over there is the old one. So I fixed it after about an hour of live streaming and head scratching. It's Accidental Games on Twitch if you wanted to see that. It's not particularly interesting. But yeah, basically the problem we had before was there were equipment issues. People used to be teleported straight from there to here, and then in here they would have their inventory cleared, and then after a couple of ticks they'd be given their golden carrots and arrows, and then they'd move to this and have their weapons and armor dispensed. Now they are kept here on a longer clock, so there's a bit of a delay. Everyone here has their inventory cleared while they're there, and then everything is given to them at once. They're given their armor and their weapons from this thing here, and at the same time this piston gets pushed down by the pressure plate. They are given their carrot and arrows, and then they're teleported away after a 3-tick delay to their starting zone. So that seems to have fixed the issues I was having. I'm going to have to watch it closely, because it seems item equipping is fraught with problems. But let's start. I just want to let's see. The first thing we need to do to get this dynamic lighting system working is to work out who owns which node and bring that into a readable system. So all of these nodes, you will probably notice, have an output line like this one here. The dark team has captured node 1. There's a line on either side of all the nodes, which basically is just measuring the signal strength. Where's the output on this one? I think it's this line here. So they have two different lines, and that it turns on when the signal is strong enough. That's used firstly to turn on any or turn off any roads linked to that node, and secondly it is used. They all go down to these AND gates down here, and those gates work out when a team owns everything and end the game with this central thing which teleports everybody back to the lobby. So we're going to hijack those outputs, and I've got a neat little system which I have over at spawn, which I would like to show you for using this. So we're going to be using the objective-based system, or I'm going to try to at least, for this dynamic daylight. I've set it to day so it's a little brighter. You may remember command blocks can be used to add objectives, such as reset node. I'm using this for the wireless resetting of the nodes, and you simply have a command block trying to remove it, and if it succeeds you get an output pulse. We're going to be trying to do something similar, and I have a nice little device over here. This is quite tidy, and it can be attached to the output of those nodes. So if I put a torch here, get a message saying on, put it there again, it turns off. So we're going to be expanding that over to this thing here, so that when you get power, it adds the objective node 1 captured, and when it loses the power, it removes the objective node 1 captured. It's quite tidy. This half slab here stops the power from this line going to that. So I'm quite pleased with that. Added, removed. So we're going to be using this. Obviously it'll have to be node 1 captured light on one end and node 1 captured dark on the other end, so that any system can then work out how many nodes belong to each team. This is the problem I've been having with these nodes all the time, is that there's 3 states rather than just 2. There's uncaptured, captured by light, and captured by dark, it means all the redstone always gets more complicated, because a 2-way switch is very easy to do. A 3-way switch requires a lot more effort. So first things first, I'm going to be adding these nodes. I turned command block output on, which is why you can see that. Game rule, command block output false, just so it doesn't bother us all the time, or it doesn't bother me. So yeah, we're going to be hijacking these points here and just bolting that system on, which is going to add different objectives, and then we're going to build the system which works out how many objectives exist for a team, and then we need to calculate at what position our sun needs to be for that. So I'm just going to set that up. Alright, well, I got slightly carried away and a bit confused and stuff, but basically I've decided not to set this up. I'm going to do it in the testing space I have here rather than in Crazy Man's map, because I'm not entirely sure what Crazy Man's doing with his area. It may, because it's a mushroom factory, it might be completely blocked from sunlight. You know, there may be large windows, or it may be open top. I don't know, I've not talked to him. So rather than building into that system before knowing if I need it or not, I'm going to leave it. So this is just a node simulator. You can capture them and uncapture them, which is simply the CL stands for captured, and then L is for light. So over here you've got captured dark, and on the back here for them there is a DD update, dynamic daylight update, which I realized that our system, which I have only just started here, needs to know when to do something. So it's constantly basically trying to remove the DD update objective, and if it does, you'll see the comparator briefly turn on. There, you saw that comparator there. If I flick it again, blinks for a moment. So we'll use that to tell when our dynamic daylight has to change. Normally these command blocks here would be that system we did over here, which will be attached to the outside of the nodes. But since there's only one node and it's not fully working over there, I thought I'd do this. This is just to turn dynamic daylight on and off. Yep, so I'm going to get back to it. That's the first stage anyway, working out when it needs to update. Okay, so I have some questions before we go any further here. The midpoint seems to be 12,800 seconds. Seems to be the balance point where the sun and the moon are nicely obscured together. So I'm thinking maybe increments of 200 either way, and we've got 3 nodes, so that's 3 is the max captured by light, 3 is by dark. Now the first thing I'm wondering is how jerky is this going to look? Like, if you can only add time or set it. You can't, I think you can't take it away. Time, add, minus 200? No. So you have to, basically the lowest the sun is going to be is 12,200. That's the lowest number it'll be. And then we would have to add after that. So our calculations would have to set it to the base number and then add until it reaches the number we want. So for instance, if we started at 12,200 and added 200, how jerky is that moon going to look? Let's try it. Okay, maybe we shouldn't have used one of these. Let's try one of these and a repeater and one of these. Oops. Right. So that's setting the time to 12,200 and then adding 200. What does it look if we don't add 200? And then we add 200? What happens then? So that actually looked pretty instantaneous. Like, I was thinking that the moon would dip down and then bob back up, and that would be a visual thing. But it looks like it does it pretty smoothly. I wonder if it works if we don't use a repeater. I think it does. Okay, so that may work. It means that, say the time was, you know, all three capturing wouldn't have happened, but you can see the moon is fully set and the sun is up, so that means the light team has won, as it were. But say we have that, and then the dark team captures a node, the sun will simply just jump to the new position, and the moon will rise up to the new position. And I'm wondering whether how smoothly I could fade, how smoothly I could get the sun and the moon to move. So I'm going to give that a go as well. I'll be right back. Okay, so our timer is set to 12,200, and here I've got a 2-tick clock which adds 1 to the time. And I wonder how this is going to look. Either the server is failing or that's very slow. Is the moon rising, do you think? Yeah, very slowly. Okay, let's try adding 2 to double the rising speed. Okay, it's kind of jerky. Let's try 4. So that's pretty jerky. 8. See, even though that is adding the time in increments, it seems to be jerking it quite steadily, which is probably going to cause light updates. I wonder if the clock is too fast. Let's try a slower clock like this one here. Let's hook that one up. Yeah, it looks like the moon can't keep up with it. In terms of lag, it's probably going to cause more lag than it's worth to make them jump to their new, to make them smoothly move to their new position. I guess we're probably just going to have to snap them to their position. I doubt people will notice too much. Okay, I've got one more question as well. Because obviously we want this system to react as quickly as possible. If I add, currently the timer is set to 12,800. If I add 200, so jumps up like that. This command block over here also adds 200. If I fire them both at once, is it going to rise up to the height of 200, which is just about that blue line there, or is it going to add 400? That looks pretty conclusively 400. That's good. That means that we don't have to worry about them firing at the same time. Let's just try it without repeaters just in case. Yeah, that's pretty good. So I was worried we'd have to make sure that 2 command blocks adding time wouldn't interfere with each other and only one would fire. That's quite cool actually, that Minecraft can run several commands in one tick. I'm also really pleased that you can freeze daylight now. Like, when I first had this idea, you couldn't stop the sun and moon moving like I have here. There's a game rule called natural daylight cycle or something like that. You can turn it off now, which is very good, because before, when I first had this idea, I would have had to have a clock running all the time to freeze the sun in place. So I just had a thought, right? If we can't take away time. We can set the time to its base value. The lowest it'll be is 12,200. So we can set that like so, and then we need to add it depending on, well, the thing is, if a command block that's checking a light team owning a node is easy. If the light team owns a node, add 200 to the time. That's very good. If the dark team own a node, you don't want to add time, and you can't take away time. So I think what we're going to have to do is, if the dark team does not own the node, add time. So if this one here was testing to see if the dark team owned node 1, we would have to have something fire if they don't, which means I think I don't know. Get back to me in a second. Okay, well this is half done. I've been at this for quite some time trying to figure it out. The problem is that comparators stay on even after this pulse is finished, which meant there were a lot of troubles. So I now, after running the command block, after 1 tick I power these pistons which knock these blocks down, which allows the power from the comparator to pass through, which fixed the problem I was having. It now needs pistons, which I think is a bit sad, and this is only the dark team done. So right now, because the light team isn't done, we start off with a full time of 12,200, the brightest time, 12,200. When the block is down like this, the objective is removed and the dark team don't own the node. So if we capture node 1 for the dark team, the sum drops. If it's uncaptured, it rises. I'm just going to turn this off a second. Game rule, command block output false, because it's a lot of text. There's a lot going on. So if we capture it again, it goes down 1. If we capture the second node, it goes down further. And if we capture the third node, it drops all the way down. It's now balanced because the light team isn't calculated in. Otherwise, it would be 600 further down, and any of these can be lost, and the sum will rise again. So that's definitely working fine for the dark team. It took me a little while to get my head around it. The problem now is the light team. If the light team captures a node, we would technically have to remove time, which we can't do. So I think we need to do it so that if the light team captures a node, if the light team hasn't captured the node, we automatically add 200 to the time, and if they have captured it, we don't add that 200. I think that's how it's going to work. I already tried this and I had some trouble with the inverting. I wasn't quite sure what the problem was, so I'm going to have another go. I'm also kind of a bit sad about having to use pistons, and this setup is a little bulkier than I'd wanted. If anybody in the comments has any suggestions for how to get around this problem that the comparators stay lit after the pulse has run through, I would appreciate knowing. Running on sticky pistons facing downwards gives you the sticky piston coloured particles. Running on redstone gives you the colour of the block underneath it. The blocks under this repeater in this comparator are cyan. How do I know? The colour of the running marks. Rainbow running marks. As you can tell, I'm getting very distracted. I can't believe how difficult I'm finding this to add time if there's no output, because first of all, if this successfully removes the objective, you have to add it again, otherwise it won't work. So that's fine. This piston coming down, which is powered by that line, same as the other side, that will add the objective again. But getting it to then add time if that fails, but that comes down, is surprisingly tricky. Like I could do like at the moment, if this succeeds, that powers that block when it's down, that powers that redstone, which turns off this torch, which is inverting it, and turning off the torch won't power this. But once that rises, it will turn the torch back on and add time, even though it should be the other way around. I've been at this for about an hour and a half now. It's just... it's ridiculous. Alright everybody, welcome back. 1 day has passed in my time. I had to go to work, and I found a solution in my head at work, because anybody who works in a boring dead-end retail job, even part-time, knows that the best time to daydream is at work. So this is my solution to the problem I was having. Basically, the fact that we have to trigger these if no pulse is received, and if there is a pulse, not trigger them. So basically how this now works is when I'm just going to go grab the update command from over here a second. Copy that. When it receives an update, currently these command blocks are powered, right, by this line up here. If this torch turns on, it won't add 200 to the time because it's already powered. So what happens is, because we want it to add 200 to the time unless a pulse gets through, when you add 200, like so, you will notice that the line, that top line, flashes for a split second. There we go. And what then happens is that if a pulse gets through this system, it powers this torch just before this one is unpowered, and then this one is powered just before that one turns off again, which means that the command block remains locked through the whole process. But if no signal gets through, that torch stays off, and when this line turns off and then turns back on, when it turns back on, that was off for a split second, and therefore 200 is added to the time. It's a horrible thing, and this is a lot bigger than I wanted it, and I'm not particularly happy with it. And there's also a bug. Well, it's not a bug. It works perfectly now. Currently, all the redstone blocks are down, so no nodes are captured. This is the light team, as notified by the L, so flipping this should make the sun rise. The problem is that for some reason the sun now jumps around sometimes. It jumps up and then it pops back down, and this seems to be somehow linked to the dark team's node capturing, which is the more complex. So I will just demonstrate. So currently no nodes are captured. We add one node for the dark team, and as you can see, the sun jumps, and this is a big problem because it visually doesn't look nice, and it causes more light updates than it has to. And it works sometimes, and other times it really kind of messes up, and I'm not really sure what the cause is. I think it's going to possibly jump again this time. There we go. At the very beginning here, there used to be this command block here, which sets the time to the starting point. I've moved it over here with a delay now, and if I increase this repeater by 1 tick more, some of the command blocks that add 200 to the time fire before it, and that effectively stops it working. So I've got this mess of command blocks and pistons and pulse limiters, and it makes the sun jerk. I'm quite disappointed, and I feel like this is outreach time. I've sort of outlaid the concept and how this system is working, I think, hopefully clearly in this video. If anyone has any alternate ideas or knows of any reason why, I mean, it's difficult, I know, from just the video footage, but ask me questions if you think you might have a solution why the sun jumps around like that. It seems to be random, like that time it didn't. That time it didn't. Same command again. Didn't. It was fine, but other times it will jump around. I don't know if it's server lag or it must be some sort of lag-based thing if it happens randomly. And now it seems to be going fine. I don't know. Very odd. But the dynamic daylight system is kind of working. I should point out this is going to be an optional setting. You may remember in our lobby, up in the top in the admin area, there is a switch for dynamic daylight, which basically just means that I'm going to not go through there because I'll never remember how the glass goes. Let's go in through the door. Let me see. Rogue player detection, which we haven't done yet. Dynamic daylight. So this is a global system for all the maps in the area, and if you turn this off, it will set the time permanently to day or night or whatever is fitting for that map. Otherwise, the dynamic daylight will be included, I believe, unless I know for a fact that one of the maps is going to be entirely encased and needs to be night constantly for it to work properly. So, but it would be a cool thing to do, and if it wasn't for the sun jumping around, I would say this is done. But it's a good start, I think, and it's a new idea. I've not seen this idea before anywhere, and it works very nicely with the map. And I feel like I'm starting to ramble a little bit, so I'm going to draw this episode to a close. I think we got something done in this episode. Yeah, maybe I'm shooting myself in the foot by using objectives. Perhaps I should be considering using actual scoreboard values or something. So yeah, if you got any cool ideas on how this could be done differently, just let me know. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you all on the next episode. Bye bye.